Welcome back to She's Got Game. On this week's episode, I'm sitting down with pelvic floor specialist Wendy Puckett. Her personality is just the best. We break down why the pelvic floor is so important, how it can change your sex life, your confidence, strengthen the inside out, and your performance for athletes and non-athletes alike. Wendy is brilliant at breaking down everything you need to know about pelvic health, and she even gives you some tips to do whilst listening to this episode. I hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Wendy Puckett, welcome to She's Got Game.
Thank you. I love being here.
I am so excited to dive into everything pelvic floor and beyond today. We're going to start with a bit of pelvic floor 101. So, starting with the basics, what is the pelvic floor? What does it do? And why is it important?
Ah, love this question. Okay, pelvic floor really honestly I think has been just sort of lost in the medical world a little bit and not brought into the fitness world. So, I love talking about this because if we can see it and visualize it and understand it, we can engage it. So, I actually have so the pelvic floor is a hammock of muscle that runs between your pubic bone and your tailbone. And it comes in from the side and runs front to back. In fact, I always have a trusty little,
I love
visual.
this.
So here's your pelvis. And if you look inside of it, there's this amazing hammock of muscle that essentially holds up all your internal organs. And so because it has different muscle fibers running front to back, inside to side, it, you know, so much can happen with it in terms of the way the fascia comes into it and the way we can stabilize and become unstable. If one of our sides is stronger than the other, the pelvic floor is pulling differently. So it's just this incredible, you can almost think about it like a hammock or even better, like a trampoline of muscle down there. And if it's too tight, we're sort of rigid in there, or if it's too loose, it becomes kind of like a low hanging and our organs are sinking and it just becomes a little bit messy down there. So yeah, important muscles in the core family.
Because I feel like it's one of those things where we talk about the core, but people often don't acknowledge the pelvic floor in the same way as they do superficial abs or even the deep core muscles. Why do you think that is?
I think honestly, it's kind of what I was talking about. I think it's been living in the medical world a lot. I mean, if we're just getting right into it, this is an area inside of our body. And so typically I feel like we somehow imagine, well, if it's inside of us, that's kind of a more of a medical thing and not, some a muscle that I'm incorporating into my body just like I would a bicep or a quad muscle or a glute muscle. I mean, it's like magic. It matters so much. So I think that's why. And also I think that because all of our like good female organs are down there, it tends to get again like pushed into that sort of category.
Mm.
So yeah, I think like I'm just on a mission to bring awareness of this muscle to athletes and everyone of all ages to realize like a lot of the issues I'm having really could be addressed by using my breath and just feeling these muscles more and using them, integrating them, activating them. And you're right, we have a lot of core muscles that we love, that we're aware of, that we know about, but that one is the initiator of all good flow and core movement. So
I feel like we need to nickname it the initiator. I think people would pay more attention.
I know it
Yeah,
needs a
I
new
like
name. It
that.
needs a rebrand. We're rebranding
Yeah.
it. That's what we're doing right now.
We're rebranding the pelvic floor, guys.
We're rebranding it and we're basically like, "You're welcome, people. Here's a new muscle for you." I mean, you're in the fitness world, like, how fun. Like, if someone said, "Hey, by the way, I have a new muscle for you that will actually help you run faster, run lighter, feel better, not pee your pants, flatten your low abs, have better sex." Like, and you'd be like, "What is it? Let me have it." Like, here it is, you know? So
What would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions that you tend to see with the pelvic floor?
I think just the misconception that we that it's part of the core family and part of how we're engaging and activating, and also just that we can connect into it and feel it. I mean, honestly, I feel like having been in the fitness world for, I don't know, 23 years teaching, and then before that, competing, I feel like there's many people in the world who would just as well know how to activate their pelvic floor as they would if I said, Tess, fire your liver, fire
Yeah.
your pancreas. You'd be like, what? Like, that's an organ. I don't know how to do that. And also, I think that sometimes people might think of the pelvic floor as like an organ and not a muscle that we're using. So yeah, the rebrand process is like, this is the misconception is no, this is like you can tap into this. This is amazing. So I think that's the piece. We don't give it the credit it deserves.
I love that because I think it's like you said, so many people don't actually know how to engage or even to activate or to tap into it. And we're going to come on to more of this later because I find this fascinating as to why. But what would you say are some of the most common mistakes women make with core training and how can they fix them?
Really, it comes down to the breath a lot. It comes down to we can fix them. It's funny, for as excited as I get about this, it's a simple fix. It's not the so I think the biggest thing that can we can all do really is learn how to use our diaphragm and our pelvic floor together. We inhale, we release, we exhale, we engage. And so I think what happens, especially for athletes, is when you get these really strong core muscles, your obliques, your rectus, your internal obliques, and even your transversus, which is your deeper one of those. I think what happens is when we breathe shallow and I think that's the thing that I see mostly, and I mean I do it too. We all do it where when we try too hard, we and then what happens is these bigger muscles push down, and so I think that's the biggest problem is when we're pushing down, we're pushing our pelvic floor down, we're less stable, we're pushing our abs out, we're just not getting into that flow. It's too grippy, too bracing, as opposed to like a little pelvic floor lift. And then the muscles wrap around. And then we're fluid, we're agile, we're light, we're on fire.
So, for those who are listening who maybe don't know much about what the core actually looks like if we strip the skin away or if we had, goggles on that we could see right through to the human anatomy, what you're saying here is a lot of people, the pressure tends to come from top down,
Yes.
kind of, yeah, like rib cage down.
Yep.
Whereas what would be better if it kind of came from base up. So almost like a
Yes.
lifting up motion rather than
Yes.
pushing down motion.
Yes. Yes. That's it. That switch. It's amazing what I've seen in motion and I have examples we can talk about later, but yes, Tess, like that is that
That's it.
elevator feeling is it changes it and we forget and it's simple but hard to remember sometimes. So yeah, that's it.
But it's fascinating because I remember having my pelvic floor assessed. And I actually think the first time I really looked into it, I was quite young. I was probably about 18. And her just saying, "Wow, your obliques do not give your pelvic floor a chance. Like, there is no way." And then I later had another assessment, and that's when she told me about everything I was doing was pushing down rather than that upward, and when she brought that cue in for me of that zipping up, it changed the game because I used to pee. I was, like, 16, 17, 18, I do a tuck jump, played sport all my life, and I was like, "I'm leaking." And I was
Yes.
mortified by it because
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
know.
understand why, and
Yeah.
all I'd ever thought was, "Well, yeah, my mum tells me she can't go on the trampoline, but she's had 2 kids." But then and in my head, it didn't
Yes.
compute that
No.
as an athletic younger girl at the time that that
Yeah.
could also happen to you too.
Yes. More and more. More and
Yeah,
more recently, I hear it and see it.
interesting. Why do you think that is?
Well, a couple things. I feel like if we're exploring the intersection of mindset and um, and the attitude and the way we feel about ourselves and anxiety. I mean, I think the bigger picture is I think there's a lot of external pressure, a lot of external awareness. We know this. There's so much stimulus coming in. I think that the research does say that there's a little higher anxiety in the world, maybe. And so I think what happens is when we're trying so hard and we're outside of our body, our breath shortens. We're sort of in that sympathetic nervous system a bit that shortens our breath. It's sort of that fight or flight, like that, let's go. I need to be more, do more, try harder. And I think what happens with that is when we shorten our breath, naturally we start chopping off our lower core. We're here, and then we're very top down. And so I think that the reason, and as soon as we're top down, we're putting too much pressure in. And also our pelvic floor mirrors our nervous system. I mean, we can talk about this at more length later, but it's the base of our vagus nerve, which is what calms our body down and connects us into our center. So I think that as the world maybe pulls us out of our body, this is a way to get back inside of our body so that we're more like inside out instead of outside in. I think I like this just gets me like just watching everybody really has such good intentions. We're trying so hard and we're just going for it and working so much. And so I think, again, I think as we start to work from the inside out, those problems start to diminish. But that I think it has a lot to do with that. I really do.
Mm. Fascinating, because it's just interesting hearing that. You're like, oh yeah, of course that makes sense, but
Yes.
it's difficult to almost pinpoint that until someone
Yeah.
like you says it. Really interesting. How would someone know if their pelvic floor needs a bit of attention? Are there things that they could look out for?
Yes, definitely. So I know that you see this too, working with people. And it's sort of that thing where sometimes you feel like it can be hard to put your finger on. And then you realize, like, oh, there's breath holding and pushing, and we're just too tight inside. We're not letting go enough to be able to release and contract. And what that looks like is our abs are pushing out, kind of bulging, and also honestly inflammation. When we're not connected and we don't have that flow, we're probably not breathing, so you can see it right away with the breath. Does the breath, like for example, if you're doing core work and you're rolling up, are you like, you can see where that breath stops. Can people count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as they're rolling up, or are they 5, 4, 3? So those kind of situations suggest we're pushing too much. I think also it looks like it looks like pressure and bracing. It looks like, if you're watching balance, you'll see balance is tricky because we're just like fighting it instead of sort of grounding and lifting, that like lift fascia, sort of light flowy feeling. So oftentimes, when if we have a client that we're working out, for example, and they're like, okay, I'm going to stand on one foot and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do a deadlift, and it's everything's kind of if they breathe into it and zip up and feel that pelvic floor hug up, the game changes. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden she's got game. Where's that coming from? How do we dig into that? So yeah, so that's what it looks like. It looks like a breath hold. It looks like abs pushing. It looks like crunching. It looks like we're creating a new vocabulary in this rebranding process, and
Mm.
also in the she's got game. Like we're talking about that vitality, that lift, that levity, that pliability, uh, that that key ingredient.
Mm.
So
I also want to come on to, we're going to come on to it in a bit, but sex and how the pelvic floor links to sex life. But
yeah,
whilst we're here, is there anything particular that if someone is experiencing something that perhaps they don't feel is quote unquote normal in their
yeah,
sex life,
yeah.
that could be related to some kind of dysfunction with the pelvic floor?
Absolutely. So, okay, if we're linking some of these emotional states, sort of energetic states of stress or trying too hard. So I think what we're looking for is in a pelvic floor, it can tend to be possibly too tight, which is hypertonic. So oftentimes people, again, we need a bigger vocabulary in this world. Like I think maybe historically we think tight is good, but we want tone. We don't want, just like any muscle, if you're overly tight in your hamstring, that's not ideal. So same with the pelvic floor. So if we're hypertonic and we're too tight, which I tend to see in that sort of energetic blueprint of like, like trying so hard and having so much strength, which I love. But then that ability to release so that you can engage, that kind of situation. I think when we're too tight, we're if we're diving right into into sex, that would make it hard to feel. It would make it hard to like get the full sensation of sex because we're holding our breath and trying so hard to get that feeling. So
Mm.
ironically, it's the release that helps us feel. The other thing too is on the other end of it is being a little bit too loose in those muscles. So needing more tone, functional tone. So just like any muscle in our body, it's not strength means being able to contract and release in the right way, instead of just locked up. So if you're hypotonic, you're a little bit too loose. Enter the maybe most likely if you've pushed out a kid in your life, that might be the case. It's a little, we have to kind of build more tone. And so in that case, maybe you're not getting the sensations in sex, for example, because those muscles aren't able to contract as well. I mean, the nature of, for example, an intimate health, like an orgasm, is contract, release, contract, release. If the tone isn't there to contract, it's mid, as we say, right? Like not maybe
Mm.
happening. Or if it's like you're too tight, it's hard to release to contract. So does that make sense? So that's kind of
Completely.
what you're feeling, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So just you're basically not getting the full sensation of sex. Your sex life could be
No.
better, and we're gonna help you
Yes.
make it better with this podcast.
Yes, 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 let's go. I mean, yeah, we can dive into that a little bit more, but yeah, vitality, we can't like section out vitality. The ingredients are everything from intimate health to feeling ourselves to knowing ourselves, but also fitness, like this
Mhm,
nice, pure functional strength of all muscles and the mindset to go with it. We want it
mhm.
all.
We want it
That's what
all.
game is about.
It is. It really is. So take us back to your days as a collegiate athlete.
Yeah.
How did that experience first make you aware of the pelvic floor, or were you not aware of it at the time?
I was not aware of it. I definitely wasn't. I was like, like a clincher, try hard, let's go, work more, work hard. And then the harder you get to a point where you're training so much and not really recovering. And because not running one day doesn't mean recovering, you still have to release your muscles. You got to relax your body. There's the mindset and energetic component. So for me, I was in the weight room and we were doing weight. I mean, this is like 1989 or 88. So there wasn't a lot of this research and it was just build strength, like outside in a lot, just everything we were talking about. And not, and that weight room strength is incredible, but it has to be done with the mindset of the breath and that inner connection. And we were, plus we were also, if I'm being really honest, like completely showing off. I mean, they were having the women's cross country and track team. We were training in with the football team and bench pressing and just trying to add in more. Egos were involved. We're like, wow, what are we doing? And we weren't really training with the understanding of how to get deep in your body. So I was a
Mm.
cruncher. I would like build tone. And then when I was running, I felt like I was just pulling a lot on myself as opposed to connecting into that deep inside out flow piece that includes fascia and all of it. So yeah, I was a cruncher.
As a
I
coach.
wasn't as fast as I could have been, really, honestly, for sure.
Mm.
So I didn't discover it until I started getting into Pilates later and started feeling like, oh, I'm training the smaller muscle groups. And now I feel like, wow, I'm so much faster now.
It's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you have any personal experiences during those years or any experiences that you saw with other athletes that clocked you on to pelvic health at that stage, or did it not come until you went to Pilates?
Honestly, I think it was after. I really do. Unfortunately, I wish I did, which is why I'm on a mission now. This is part of it to like get people inside themselves so that they can optimize. But no, I think it wasn't. I did a lot of core. I aesthetically had core, but I just wasn't using it all in the right way.
And you just said there that since you've been working more on your pelvic floor, you were able to run faster.
Yeah.
How does the pelvic floor improve performance for not just athletes, but everyday people too?
Yeah. Um, Well, it's kind of like we talked about when that muscle group is functionally strong, where it can release and engage, it it allows you to just run lighter. You're not pushing down into your bones. So literally your pelvis just lifts up off your femurs so that your legs can flow. So I feel like I remember I ran I ran the Boston Marathon maybe like a year after I was done with college running. And I hadn't trained that much, but I had been doing a lot of Pilates, just a lot of core awareness and thinking about it then. And so, for example, on performance and how does it work, I remember thinking my legs are so tired. Like I ran way too fast in the first half of the marathon. And I was like, you know, the feeling when you're running right now, like, oh no. I mean, when you're running, you're thinking it's all about your legs. Like, how do my legs feel? How am I doing? But honestly, I had this epiphany like, okay, the faster my arms go, the faster my legs go. They have to. So I'm just going to not think about my legs. I'm going to lift up and I'm just going to run from here up. And the legs are just going to have to flow through fascia and follow. So, in answer to your question, how does it help performance? It helps stability, especially just depending on your sport. I work with a lot of skiers, and there's a lot of like alpine skiers, freestyle skiers, pressure. And when you're pressing down, you don't have that elastic ability to flow through your body, whether it's running, whether it's especially in those even more dynamic sports like
Mm.
skiing. So performance wise, you're more stable every time you land. You know, how do you push off an unstable center? It's like, how do you jump but just out of the air? You want something to leap off of. How do you rise if you don't feel your base? How do you leap if you don't feel your floor? Like it's just that solid foundation that you can lengthen and flow from. So
Mm.
performance wise, yeah, your power is so much better when your pelvis is stable and solid, not rigid. Stability isn't rigidity. It's like it's just strength and pliable. So and the mobility is amazing.
For those listening who may not know what stability really means in the performance sense, can we
Right.
just sum that up?
Yeah. I mean, there are different definitions. The way I look at it is stability is that in your muscle, in your body, I think about it like you have these muscles that move you, that we're strengthening. And then you have these internal muscles that stabilize you so that your movers can move. And so there's a pelvic floor is a really big part of that. Transversus abdominis is too, like your deepest core muscle. We could dive as deep as you want in any of this. But so when you're zipped up and connected and have that inner strength for those little stabilizing muscles inside, the moving muscles can jump, leap, fly, you know, and without the stabilizing muscles, the external muscles, the movers, they come in to try to stabilize because really we are a body that is protecting, you know, our organs. And so if we don't have a strong core, which I did not after having two kids and really tearing and having lots of problems, like I remember getting right back into strength work without consciously getting those littler muscles internally stable. And so I was just gripping. So when you go back to what does it look like when you're not having that internal strength connection, it looks like our hips aren't moving because they're like protecting our spine. We're like, we can't leap as far because we're like, what's inside to protect us and stabilize us? So it's a long answer, but that's sort of how I look at stabilizing muscles, those deep internal muscles that hold us together.
Mhm. And obviously, they come into play with elite athletes as well as everyday people. I think sometimes,
Yeah.
someone might be listening and be like, well, I don't need to leap or jump. Why do I need to
Right,
work
right.
on that?
Excellent point. Yeah. But we do need to walk downstairs and maybe jump on a trampoline. You use that example. We are
Yeah,
going for walks and walking down hills.
exactly. We will all run for at least one bus or train in our life.
Yes, 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 absolutely. Or walk downstairs or
Yeah.
sneeze and like, or laugh or whatever it is, dance. We need to be able to like dance to cheesy music till like 1 in the morning without having our back sore, our joints sore, peeing our pants. Yeah,
On it, but it's all of this, and I think actually it's we're going to come on to it being taboo a bit later on, but it has been taboo for so long, and I wonder if it's again, I want to pick your brain on this, but if it's to do with it being so closely located to genitals that people almost like, I don't want to talk about that. That doesn't feel comfortable to talk about.
absolutely.
Whilst we're still talking about performance, can pelvic floor strength or having that ability to relax and contract help prevent injuries and speed up recovery beyond what most people think?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since your pelvic floor stabilizes you and helps keep that pelvis in alignment, let's say you're rehabbing a knee injury. And if you're stepping on one leg and the pelvis is tipping, that knee is dropping in, the foot is dropping in, that whole chain all the way down your body is compromised. So we need to have that. When that pelvis is stable, you're going to heal quicker on these, especially in these joints, anywhere in your body, because that's sort of that hub, that home base of, if I step on my foot and my pelvis is stable, then I can start tracking a little bit better. I can start working on that alignment and that activation pattern without my pelvis dropping. I mean, so much of knee stuff is honestly either coming from pelvis or foot. It tracks all the way down. So recovery so much quicker with that core stability to support the body. Um, what you said, you were saying recovery and performance, right?
And preventing
Yeah,
injury.
preventing
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. I mean, if you think about any moment that an athlete has where it's a dynamic movement or not, running doesn't necessarily, or cycling isn't necessarily dynamic, but if we aren't stable and we're working so hard and pushing ourselves and those knees are falling in or pushing out or whatever that is, that's going to wear and tear that joint, those muscles in the wrong pattern. They're either going to be too extended or too short. And we need to work them in that nice, neutral, optimal position. So, oh my gosh, yeah, the wear and tear is definitely diminished when you're stable in your core, and recovery, of course. Yes. Yeah.
So we've touched on core stability there, but how much does breath work and just breathing come into play with this?
100%. It really does. Without breath, you can't feel your core. When you're holding your breath, we're bracing. Breath is sort of that vitality flow, that elixir. Like, it's breath. It activates it all. So yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to understand how inhale and exhale will work, but in terms of activating that core, when you're inhaling, you're allowing the lungs to fill up with air. When you're exhaling, you're gathering it up and zipping, and that's where that zip comes in, and that's where that. So without breath, yeah, we're stuck, we're pushing, we're not connected. Everything below it is like, what are we doing? Are we lifting? Are we pushing? What's happening here? This is a command center in your pelvis that is brought to life with breath. So
Mm.
yeah, it really is. I have so many great stories about that that are so simple and fundamental and transformative. It's crazy.
What would
Yeah.
you say one of those most profound stories is, or what's one that comes to the forefront of your mind?
Well, okay. This one is interesting because we're talking right at this moment a lot about female health, but I have two sons. One of them is on the US ski team. Uh, he had hurt his knee alpine skiing in at the like it was like the beginning of December, and it was his MCL. So he couldn't do much on it. He couldn't do anything on it. And he had like 6 weeks, and he was kind of stuck with me, and we were doing breath and core every day. And we did so much of it. And I realized that after doing so much just Olympic lifting, he maybe had just gotten a little like he hadn't worked his breath through. So he was the classic pattern of and not lifting. And he knows this, but and so as we were working, I was like, God, you're trying so hard. Like melt into your body. Let's get that breath through. Pull up on that pelvic floor. Guys have pelvic floors, we all do. And so he started to get that patterning and that feeling and fascia in our body. It's like this elastic layer in our body that runs from like top to bottom. And when you're in your pelvic floor, releasing and engaging this fascia helps you with that pliability and mobility. So he got it changed just with his breath and the way he was using his core, drawing in and up. And when he got back on snow, I think he raced like a Continental Cup race, a big race, and like the first week in January, and he won. It was this biggest race he's ever won, and I was like, tell me what I know to be true." He
Yeah.
said, "It's absolutely I'm more elastic." So think about when you're making a ski turn and you're pressing down, there's this elasticity with it that just was so fluid as opposed to "Rrr,
Yeah.
rrr." In the gym, you could think about box jumps. As a person walking around in the world, you could think about walking downstairs. It's just that pliability. So when we're holding our breath, things brace and hurt. When we're breathing through it, we're magic.
Yeah. And I mean, so whilst we're on men and women,
Yeah.
should guys be paying more attention to their pelvic floor?
Yes, absolutely. Like that's why I use that example, because it was just right. There was no other ingredients except for that. And he's a man. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think my perception, I can see the difference a little bit so far in all the work I've done with so many women over 20 years in between us and maybe the mindset and that connection to our inner power. I think men, yes. I think if you're I have noticed it in the male athletes I've worked with, again, like that grippiness, that ability to release is really important. And that has taken pain out of people's backs, hips, knees, just being able to release. I mean, I've gotten a call from an athlete who like crashed and it's like my back, my hips, my knee, I don't know what I'm going to do. And honestly, the exercise was sit on a soft, smushy little yoga ball and massage your pelvic floor, just roll on it. Like have your you're just wherever you are in your clothes, sit on that ball and breathe down into the ball and release the muscles inside your pelvis, and the back pain went away.
Wow.
I know. So talking about performance and recovery and injury prevention, things grip. So we need to let them go. So
Mm.
yes, men do definitely. I think there's probably a tendency to be very tense and grippy.
It's so
Yeah.
interesting. I'm like, tell me everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But so besides from
Yeah.
physically, how else
Uh-huh.
can tapping into the pelvic floor change people emotionally, sexually? Like, how can it adapt how someone is when they start working with their pelvic floor?
Emotionally. Should we hit the emotional one first?
Let's hit it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We are talking about game here. She's got game. So we're talking about like what does it mean to feel empowered, confident? What is that? Like, that's our mission, is like, what does game mean to you? Actually, you're going to have to answer that question. Actually, what does game mean to you? This is such a great question. What's ballsy? What's game? And then we'll talk about, because that's it. That's what we're seeking, that thing, that
Yeah.
vitality, that spark.
God, you put me on the spot. Game to me, do you want me to answer it?
Of course.
I answer it. So game to me, I would say means really tapping into who you are as a person and relentlessly owning that, and then taking on every challenge that comes your way that aligns with who you are and having the confidence to tackle it head on.
Tess, I have goosebumps. Honestly, I'm not kidding. It was so good. Honestly, it really makes me feel emotional, because what is better than knowing yourself and, like, standing in your power, you know? And so, whew, it's so good. I think the magic is, it's it's not just medical, it's not just exercise and fitness, it's not only mindset, it's like this alchemy of all of that, and that is the pursuit of that. And so, back to pelvic floor, I believe that to know ourselves, we have to feel ourselves. And so I feel like, when we so feeling ourselves, there's just a direct sensory, like, there I am in my core. What does it mean to dig deep inside yourself? What does it mean to know yourself? And I think I know that I see myself, and people just get really caught up in the thoughts and the swirl and the external, like, letting the world tell us what we should feel or look like, instead of, like, no, wait, this is how I feel. But I think it's honestly hard sometimes to get out of the head and into the body. And
Mm,
so the pelvic floor is just the base of that. When you can get down and get your breath in there and, like, I can release, I can contract, I feel myself. That's the base of your intuition. Also, you were talking about the emotional piece. That's how to regulate ourselves. That's the vagus nerve is a big regulator component of our nervous system, and it takes its information from there, from our body up,
mm,
not
mm,
top down. It's So I love that. And I think, if we're diving into the emotional component piece, our body has these energetic centers, and our core, that's this base, it's our chakra, it's a grounding. And then our personal power energetic center, according to, um, you know ancient wisdom, is this solar plexus, is this chakra of personal power. When we block that off, we're stuck up here,
mm.
taking direction from the world instead of from ourselves.
Let's stick on emotional because I have many questions for you
Oh,
around
yay,
this.
I love it.
So we've spoken a little bit about strength from the inside out, and we've spoken about that in terms of the pelvic floor, but we're talking a lot about empowerment here as well. How does that link in? Or have you had clients or athletes that you've worked with where from working with the pelvic floor and developing that physical strength from the inside out, you've then seen that transform the way they view themselves and their confidence and emotion as well, like we were just talking about?
Yes, yes, like, it gives me goosebumps.
Mm.
And yeah, time and time again. I mean, I feel like you can walk into let's take a fit let's even take a fitness studio. We're already one step into it, like, feeling ourselves. We're showing up to move or to work. And I see the ingredients of strength. I see the intention of coming in to do it. And then when you add the breath and you add the mindset, the emotional piece of how we talk to ourselves, that is another game changer. Like, I'm here, I'm doing it. I feel this. I feel myself. I feel, when I connect into my pelvic floor and breathe in and zip up, I can balance. I feel lighter. I feel my abs draw in. I feel myself. I feel like I can do more. That makes me feel confident. I feel empowered. I like the way I feel in my skin because, and it just doesn't become so much about weight or outfit as it does like, oh, I'm moving. I'm not bracing and gripping and holding my breath. Like I like myself. This is good. So that emotional component, like all this, all the pelvic floor, all these things, these ingredients, again, they come to life with breath and they come to life with the way we talk to ourselves and the way we're processing it. Um, and if when we get to talking about, if we talk a little bit more about the male, female, like what do I see in the difference? I feel I've noticed there's not as direct of an access to our belief in ourselves. I'm not sure why. I mean, I have some thoughts on that. So,
Mm.
we're getting into this fuzzy area of emotions and belief. But yes, I have watched women walk in like flatline. You have too. I know you have when you've worked with people. And then they obviously we have chemical, we have endorphins, we have all the good things, but walking out with this better posture. Um, when you're zipped up on the inside, you stand better, you radiate strength and confidence and belief. And science even shows that when you are holding your posture and standing tall, your body is actually producing a little bit more testosterone. I mean, it's all measured. The power of
Interesting.
posture, how you can literally change the chemistry in your body by the way you're breathing and holding yourself, which is confidence, which is like, I'm going to go out and ask for that raise. I'm going to go out and sign up for a half marathon. I'm going to go out and to have a hard conversation that I didn't believe I could. So yeah, yep, it's all
It's
tied together.
linked. I've often said this about training clients, men and women, through training and unlocking what they can do in the gym, they then unlock other areas of their life where they
Yes.
gain the confidence to change other
Yes.
things in their life. But
Yeah.
that real internal feeling that you're creating by training such an internal deep muscle is
Yeah.
magical. It's
Yes, it's
amazing.
magical. It's so good. It holds there's so many energy centers in there and in addition to just pure important physical functional tone, like just
Mm.
straight up. But yeah, the what it does unlock is a confidence. We store who we are and our intuition and tapping in. Interoception is one of my favorite words. Like it's just knowing yourself. And I sense that is a little bit harder in culture to know ourselves because we're looking at things and feeling like that's how we should be instead of like knowing how do
Mm.
we feel, are we hungry, are we connected, are we like what are we feeling internally, are we sore, are we feeling good, are we, and I think pelvic floor for example has been excluded from that curiosity of interoception. I feel like we know how our quads feel. We know how our biceps feel. Like we know all that, but what else is happening internally? So
So circling back then, I can imagine that this confidence piece and the confidence gain can transform people's sex lives. How much does the pelvic floor really impact sexual pleasure and satisfaction?
okay, we're diving in
We're diving
to
deep.
the inner game because we can't separate this out. This is knowing ourselves, feeling ourselves, and allowing ourselves to feel good too is another piece. Like how good can we have it? Are we ready to receive? So okay. The question is okay. So we'll be specific about it. Your pelvic floor as a muscle, like many others, can be measured by strength, endurance, speed, how quickly you can contract and release. I'm using my hand as a, and agility. Can you contract and then release halfway and then contract more and then release three quarters of the way? That's control. um I'm smiling because honestly I feel like we might want to do this. We might want to sit. Okay, let's do this for and anyone that's listening. If they're sitting or standing, this works wherever you are. So as you sit, um you're feeling your sits bones, right? Your butt bones. Am I using American
No,
language too much?
butt
Okay.
bones is great. We know
Butt
sit
bone.
bones. We've got that in the
Okay.
UK too. Yeah. You're good.
Sits bones. So if you like, let's open the sits bones. I think we tend to be very big clinchers for many reasons. We're like clinching, which also affects our digestion, pelvic floor, all of it. So open our sits bones. Now, imagine you are hugging something up inside of you. Now, I use this with all the guys too. I'm around a lot of college guys because of my kids. Imagine you're hugging up inside of you. For guys, maybe it's a cold water cue. Imagine you're walking into cold water and you're lifting. For us, I kind of like that, like hug something up. And when you do that, you're not clenching your sits bones. It's like an inside thing. Now, also think about hugging up inside like the back of your pelvic floor, because you have a front, a middle, and a back, and a side to side. And I think we tend to focus a lot on the front part of it. We kind of call it in Pilates a lot the P muscle, like, but there's more to it. There's the middle and then there's the back. So if you kind of lift up between vagina and tailbone in that space in there and lift up, there's kind of a little magical energetic center back there. And you asked about sex, and this is an area that tends to get really blocked off because we all, when we're nervous or like we get clinchy. And so I'm just trying to think of how deep. I won't go as detailed, but I'll go a little bit broader. So when we're having sex and maybe let's say just you can relax to feel the sensations, to enjoy it, to feel your body. You're not in your head wondering if you're doing a good job or how it's going or is this going to happen or whatever, but in your body. You've trained yourself to come into your body. And your pelvic floor might be like tight if you're trying or holding your breath. So when you can breathe and release that pelvic floor, a release leads to a contract. Release, contract. An orgasm by nature, that's what it is. It's contract, release, contract, release. So I have had a story of a client who had been with her partner for a couple of years and hadn't had an orgasm. And I hear this a lot from maybe people that are like feeling anxiety in life. It translates, right? So she was like, I don't know. I don't know why. My pelvic floor is really tight. I'm now aware that I'm really tight in my pelvic floor. And I said, next time you're being intimate, try to release. Now you know how to release those muscles, almost like blooming them open, not pushing, not just standing there and like, but a little bit of a bloom. The bloom is a funny verb, but like opening. And then boom, she had an orgasm. It was so exciting. I think she texted me at midnight. She was like, "Oh my god!" So I guess that's a specific story, maybe. And so yeah, and so that's addressing some of the tightness. If we kick it forward into an older age group, like at my age group, where maybe we're trying to get more tone, hormones change, we're not holding on to muscle tone as well. And so the pelvic floor included. So when you have tone, if you're going to have an orgasm, you're going to have more intensity. You're going to have it, instead of like dabble with it. And also being able to knowing your pelvic floor, front, middle, back, you can almost direct energy up into that really systemic pleasure as opposed to more like front pleasure. First of all, let me just say, I am not a sex therapist. I'm just pelvic floor. I feel like I'm treading into waters of like acting like but I don't know, after 25 years of working with people and hearing everything, I think that's cool. I did not know that. And so I'm going to tell my younger self, you pay attention to that. Like you can breathe and release and contract and get deeper in your pleasure.
I mean, also, she had an increased sensitivity and heightened orgasm
Yes.
experience almost immediately.
Yeah.
That's a
It was so
very
cool.
quick
Yeah. And I
change.
would say it, like if we're thinking about the vocabulary and the way we're saying it, sensation for sure. When your pelvic floor and that whole area is healthy, you have more moisture, you have more blood flow because you're breathing into it, you're activating it, releasing. It's a muscle. So yeah, but she did. And for her, it was more of an ability to connect and then go, oh, now I know where those muscles are and I'm going to release them. So, and then just that, it was really just muscle contraction equals
Mhm.
orgasm.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
But when you put it like that, it is so simple, isn't it?
Yes. I
It's not
mean,
complex.
no. And it's also not separate from athletics and life. It's a muscle that is magic. Can you imagine if like your quad muscle produced that kind of result?
Yeah. Oh my god, people would be doing leg extensions for days.
Right. Think
Imagine.
about this. I mean, come on. Or biceps, we'd be like, hi, Taz. I'm
Yeah,
don't
I'm
mind
done.
me. I'm just doing biceps. But I mean, like, yeah. And so here we have a muscle in our body that can do that. Like, let's go. What are we waiting for?
But yeah,
I
I'm
think I have
so with
the
you.
quickest relevant story since we're on that subject quickly. It's on me. It's about me. So it's not a sex story about me, but I have this device, and these exist in pelvic floor therapists, by the way, are incredible. Like everyone should see them. I exist in this space kind of like after, like if someone has a real medical thing and they need to see they're incredible. And then I sort of see myself in this like integration functional, let's put it all together space. So anyway, I had to have a device that you can put inside of you to measure contractions because I was trying to track it and release. And so I put it in and I was honestly pretty arrogant about it. I was like, let's go. We've got this. And so I put it in and just at rest, I was at, let's just say 100. I'm going to make up numbers. And I'm like, what? No, I am released. I know I am. And it wasn't, I was at rest. I was sort of like holding on too tight. And so I had to practice inhaling down into my pelvic floor. And then, so when I was at 100, I could contract to 300. When I got to 0, I could contract to 600. Yeah,
Wow.
I know that appeals to you as as the fitness girl trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine like that pliability, that elasticity is, and I felt my abs change too. If we're also thinking about the external visual piece, I was like, wow, I've been doing abs for my whole life, and breathing in and just breathing and contracting toned my abs lower. Like I couldn't even believe it. Like I could see
Wow.
lower abs that I hadn't seen before. So
See, this
yeah,
is fascinating because I think a lot of people are interested in the definition of their midsection. They
of
are. And
course.
there's
Of
nothing
course.
wrong with that, but
No, there
people
is
feel like
nothing
they
wrong.
can't talk about it. So I can
Yes.
imagine almost every single listener would have heard you say that and going, okay, I may not have been bought in before, but now I am.
Yeah. They're like, wait, what? Let's say that again.
Yeah.
I feel like all people, maybe people only heard like, wait, orgasm and wait, lower ab tone. Wait, like the two buzzwords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it works. It's really weird. I in my 50s and being able to have tone from just that alone is worth it, I think, like for
Mm.
anybody. Like, yeah. All right, go ahead. Move us out of keep us moving, Tess. We're
We could stay on this topic all day. Do you think men can benefit in the bedroom from pelvic floor
yeah.
training as well? In what way? In the same way?
Yeah, it's absolutely. Yeah, it really is. It's exactly the same. It's that sense of breath control, that sense of whatever the intention is, like lasting longer, prolonging pleasure. I mean, who doesn't want that? And not being so, it's that sense of connection and I think control is kind of a funny word, but it's that ability to direct pleasure
Mm.
um, that comes from that breath and that awareness and not just kind of being like reactive to whatever the muscles are doing. Like you can actually breathe into them, prolong. Yeah, it's so good. I mean, and it's again, it's not like sex is one way, athletics is another,
Mm.
life, all of it. It should not be segmented. We're rebranding it all right now in the game podcast. Like
Yeah.
this is what it all And it always matters, how we're talking to ourselves, of course, too,
Mm.
in the whole process to connect it. But yeah, so back to men, yes, it absolutely changes the game when
Mm.
you have that awareness to your pelvic floor. Yeah.
With your experience with both men and women, have you found that one has been able to connect to the pelvic floor slightly better than the other?
Yes, I have
Which one?
so far. I mean, obviously, there's examples for everything. As I told you, I have two sons that were college athletes and national team athletes. So I had a lot of access to those men and women these ages. And okay, I think when I saw that direct standing in your power with the pelvic floor thing with the guys I work with, I was like, wow, imagine us women, like if we had something that we could hug inside of us, like game over. Like how cool for us that we actually can, like we can access that area, whereas guys they don't have a vagina,
Mm.
they're not able to. So for women, I was thinking this is going to be a direct connection to our power. It's like dropping a pin in your power source of who you are. And what I learned is it wasn't it wasn't that simple. Easy. It wasn't that easy. It was, I think, because we store possibly more emotion, more, whether it's insecurity, body imagery, shame, or we've had sexual experiences that maybe weren't great and somehow we stored them away. And when we do that, I think we store a lot in that core area. And
Mm.
then I think we can tend to block off that area and disassociate more. And I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's like giving ourselves permission to stand in our power. And when I say that, I mean our own, like knowing ourselves. And I think sometimes that can be confused with taking other power. Like power isn't a pie chart where you're trying to get all the pieces of the pie. It's like knowing ourselves and letting our own radiate out. It's infinite. It's all there. And
Mm.
so between men and women, also, I have a little theory that maybe as women, I mean, we have our periods, we are wearing tampons, we're wearing diva cups, whatever it is, there's a lot of things going on in that area that feel medical. And so I do sometimes feel like maybe our subconscious has like labeled that area as like, this is a medical area, and not like incorporated, again, pelvic floor and muscles and like vitality into it. So I think that isn't a situation for men because they're not associating it with the medical area. It's often like
Fun and
fun.
pleasure.
That's a great word. And I don't know that we have always felt fun in that area of our bodies. So, okay, we're rebranding that too. We're rebranding this whole area of our pelvis as like it can be fun. It has everything. We can do it all. We can have, you know, we can push out a kid. We can do all the things. There's just more to sort through to get to our power, I think. And this is just my observation and perspective, but I have seen men like zip up and be like, I've got it. I'm being better than ever. I'm doing this. I'm like, wait, what? Like, okay, good job. Like, I mean, of course, like, yay, that's what we want. But I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's
Yeah.
get our game going, girls. So does that make sense?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, what is one thing that every female could do to feel more grounded with her core?
I think immediately anyone listening that wants to feel it right away, it's like sit or stand, line yourself up, inhale, send your breath into your nose, down the body, like almost inside your spine, all the way into your pelvis. And you're filling up and sort of opening up that pelvic floor, like thinking about front, middle, back, side to side, like blooming open, like a flower blooming. And then you're exhaling and you're gathering it up and zipping it up and just feeling like, oh, I've got myself. Like, here we go. And I think so scientifically, it stretches your posture up. It lifts you up. It puts you in that confident state, which science says puts a little testosterone in our body. It's Amy Cuddy, power of posture, power of presence. So there's that. And then the breath takes us into our body and grounds us. So when you say, how do we ground ourselves? We got to get in our body and out of our head. That's very grounding. Obviously, putting our feet on the earth, on the ground, like feeling our feet is a big deal. But starting with breathing into the pelvis calms the nervous system right away. I've tracked this on my HRV and heart rate. It's like, it's not just a theory, like it's this great tool we have right now. And when you
Interesting.
practice getting into your body and feeling yourself, you're grounded. It's just,
Mm.
I wish that there was like a sexier version of it, but it like really works. It's our system responds.
I mean, it's the main thing that's coming out of all of this is connect with the breath, and that will help you connect with the pelvic floor. So just breathing more
Yeah.
intentionally,
Yes.
hopefully for people like, I don't know how to feel my pelvic floor. It's like breathing with intention will help them
Yeah.
connect to it down the line.
Yeah. Your diaphragm under your ribs and your pelvic floor are these domes in your body. And so when you inhale, they dome down to let the air in your lungs. And when you exhale, they dome up. And that's what creates that tone, that muscle tone. They dome up, they pull your abs in, and they connect you, they stabilize you, they fix your posture, they ground you. So it's with that intention, I think it's more, I mean, we've all heard like, just breathe. And we're like, what? Like, okay. And then we might say, breathe into your pelvic floor. Even that is like, okay, give me why. Tell me why. And now I think we've given a few whys on like how that really helps things out.
Um,
And then having that intention of the diaphragm and the pelvic floor working together is fun. I mean, that's muscle toning. So yeah, it immediately will ground you. If you're about to do something that makes you nervous or excited or whatever, something brave, you need to know yourself, remember who you are, like breathe into your body because it's there. It's right there.
I love that. I think every man and woman listening to this is going to be sat there doing their exercises right now. We need to talk about ballsy. First of all, I
Yeah.
absolutely love the name. But for
Yeah.
those who don't know what ballsy is, can you give a brief overview for our listeners?
Yeah. So this ballsy came about. It's a weighted Kegel ball. And for people who don't know what Kegels are, I mean, it's for women. Guys can't use it. It goes right up inside you, like you would put in a tampon or like a Diva cup, depending on what. And it's just a weighted. There's a few different weights, and you put it in. And basically, I made it because of everything we're talking about. I made it as to cross over, like to take it something out of like a sex court category or a medical category and just bring it into like fitness and tone. um, but for so many of us, we need to release. But how do we release a muscle that we don't know where it is? Like, so I made ballsy because when I was teaching, I would tell people, like, I feel like you don't have your inner spark. We need to connect to your center. What are you doing? And they would be like, I don't know what. And I said, I'm going to put something, you're going to go put something up inside of you and hug it. And that's going to make you lift up. And that was why I made it. Cause I think for years and decades, I taught like, pretend, hug something, hug something. So I was like, I'm just going to make one. So I made it and I named it ballsy because I wanted it to be just this bold, fun. Also, where's our humor? We need a little bit more humor. Like, can we just like, humor lives in this area, creativity, sexuality, personal power. It lives in these energy centers down there. Same with humor. So I feel like ballsy is just like when you say game, she's got game. That's exactly the definition of ballsy. It doesn't mean that you're kicking ass like every second. It means you're showing up for yourself. It makes me emotional. It means that you know you've got it, even when it's so hard and no one believes but you. I mean, I've listened to your podcast so much with these athletes, and like you ask these questions a lot, and you're so good at interviewing and getting these questions on like, what is it? Like, how do you how do you take that extra step when you don't think you can? And what is it? And it's it's ballsy. It's game. It's like it's just knowing you've got it. So that I made it bold with like bright packaging so that even if you weren't using Ballsy, the product, you would see it and be like, yes, here I am. You don't have to use the product to, it's like a little reminder, like a little banner of like, you're ballsy. It's
Mm.
in you. It's always in you. And ballsy is like the weighted ball is like it could be, the intention could be just sensory feedback. Oh, there's a weight inside of me. I feel that, instead of just like some kind of air. If someone said like, do air biceps, you're like, okay, I guess. But
Yeah.
then you put some weight in and you're engaging. And now not all of us need to have weight to engage more, but sometimes you need to feel it so that you can let it go. So it's just either a sensory feedback or something like for me, it's just building tone. It's definitely a game changer for if you're trying to really build some strength and tone for sure.
I'm so
So
excited to try.
yeah,
Mine's in the
yeah.
post as we speak. I'm so excited. How do you want Ballsy to change the conversation around pelvic health? If you could sum that up in a couple of sentences.
Exactly how you are changing it right now in this conversation. I just want it to be like a regular conversation of that brings awareness and like feedback into those muscles just to see how you're doing. And it's not something else to like judge ourselves like, oh great, now I have to do that. It's nothing like that. It's just a tool. Like, ooh, I think I need to feel myself, or ooh, I've been like, what's going on down there? Like, if I can't put the ball in, then I know I'm probably needing to work on release. And just the nature of releasing to put it in works. So these conversations that I'm kind of keep diving into, like, this is what I want Ballsy to do is let it come into the fitness world. Let us talk about it. Like we should. And it happens fast tests. Like here in our studio, when we walk into a place or like if I walk and everyone just normally is like, are you balls in? Do you have your ball in? Or they're like, oh, like if they wear it in a workout, let's just say in a Pilates session, and they'll say like, oh, I'm holding my breath, my ball's pushing out. And there'll be
Yes.
men in
I love
class
this.
and no one cares anymore. It wasn't this big battle to bring it into conversation. It just was like an open door, like pun intended, I guess. I don't know. Open door. So yeah, anyway, you know what I'm saying. I just want it to be a regular health conversation. I
Mhm.
want it to be part of vitality.
Was it challenging to bring a pelvic floor product to the market in an area that's often been deemed as medical, like you said, but you're wanting to make it fun and sexy and it's
Yeah.
connection and empowerment. It's not just performance driven and it's not medical.
Yeah.
Was that a challenge?
Yes. I mean, I think I just believe in it so much that I just keep having these conversations with thousands of women and it just lands. It's just like who doesn't want game or just that inner spark at the base, like, and I feel like I've just watched time and time again, like it just kind of lights that spark of just knowing. So yes, it has been challenging, and yeah, I've had definitely some pushback, like, well, we shouldn't be talking about that. We should only have a medical doctor come in to do that. And so to which I understand that stigma and where it's coming from, but I think I think more and more, so many people are talking more about women's health and wellness and the whole conversation. But
Mm.
yeah, there's been many pioneers before Ballsy, of course. But yeah, it's not. I think Ballsy should be on the shelf at Target, Walmart, every fitness studio. Like, oh, here's another tool for you. But also, there's a lot of education with it that needs to still be had. So conversations like this, I think, are really helpful because it's the mindset in which you use it, not just like put it in and be like, ah, forget about it, but like, ooh, I feel myself. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think just education, conversations.
I love it. It made me think of booty bands when you were saying that, of like, just put it on the shelf. Like people would pick
Yeah,
up a booty band and they'll be like, oh, at some point I'll use that. It will help me
yeah,
activate something or other.
yeah,
Same, same,
yeah,
same, same.
absolutely. I mean, I can walk through a gym and be like, "Ooh, yeah, that," like, and I can feel my body activate just like, I see that. "Ooh, yeah, I should do some biceps. Oh, I should do this. Oh, I should, like, do some deadlifts or something," and I can you can feel the patterning in your body even when you're not doing it a little bit, if that makes sense. Like, you're lifted, you're feeling it, and the same goes with ballsy. It just seeing the name ballsy, and I just think it's funny and bold and,
I
like,
love it. I
find
love
your
it.
ballsy.
I think it's
Yeah,
great. It's
it's
such
funny.
a good name. What's one message you want every woman and every man to take away from this conversation about pelvic health?
I think that you're stronger than you know. When you need to dig deep in life, or even when you don't, you have a well of strength inside you that you just need to tap in. It's right there. We go looking outside so much for things like, oh, if only this was more, this was more. But when we can get inside of ourselves, I've seen it time and time again, and feel ourselves and connect. Oh my gosh, there's so much more we can do in terms of like actualizing the things that we want in life, that we like, it's all in us. That's the main message. And for all the times, like, I would tell my younger self, for all the times that I didn't really feel like I represented myself like I wanted to, or I just didn't have the race I wanted to, or the relationship I wanted to. A lot of it was because I wasn't tapping in to my intuition, to like feeling myself. I was here a lot. And I guess I would just tell myself, like, just trust yourself, like, go in and feel yourself. And it really, honestly, things change. They do. They just, like, the answers are inside, not
Mm,
out here. So I think that's the biggest thing.
yeah. What's one question I haven't asked you that you wish I had?
I think I feel like, to sum it all up, is we've answered the why quite a bit, I guess. Like, why make a Kegel ball? Like, what's the mission? Like, what are we doing here? And I think the summary of the why is just, there's it's just so beautiful, inspiring when people are just in their power. And so I guess it's like, the why am I doing this? Because I believe that sensory piece and that feeling yourself regulates our nervous system, helps us feel confident and just know who we are, and like just see the beauty in us. And I know that's a little, it sounds like I'm being like a 95-year-old person, like, see your beauty. But it's like, I love that though. Good for them, because they're right. But it's just, it comes back to like, why? To feel yourself, to know yourself, and to be able to like tap into that strength for whatever you want to go after in life, and just believe in yourself. Belief lives in that, in your body. So I think that's the the mission, the main takeaway is like, everybody right now can feel themselves, appreciate themselves, talk nicely to themselves, and start collecting evidence, including feeling themselves in their strength, on why they've got game and how they've got game. All the good things. Look for the one more thing I would tell myself as a younger is like, collect evidence on how badass you are. Collect evidence. Like, there's so much evidence on what we're doing wrong or what we could do better. Let's collect evidence too on like, yes, I am doing it. It doesn't mean we don't want to be better or perform better or any of it, or get a bigger job or like expand or grow. It just means that, like, yeah, that confidence bank lives inside of us. And if we need to tap into it, we can feel it anytime we want. It's at the bottom of our breath, right there, waiting for us.
That is one of my favorite answers because my final question for you, which I ask all of my guests, is if you had one piece of advice for your younger self, what would it be? You've already nailed it. I love what you said there of collect evidence to show yourself how badass you are. I love that. I think that's amazing. Is there anything else you would add in for your younger self?
I think just when it's so hard to sum it all up. There's so much good stuff. I think just relentlessly believe in yourself. And when you're like, I don't know, everything seems to be going to shit, go inside your body, feel your muscles. And from that little spark right there, if you can keep that spark going, everything will get better. You will grow, you will get through it. You've got it. So I think it's just like believe in yourself through the hard times. You've got it. You've got the strength. It's called growth, and it's a little bit scary. Like you've got it. So I think that's just the biggest thing is like to tell that girl in me like it's okay, you're doing it. This is what it looks like to grow and expand, and it's hard. And the worst days often lead to the breakthroughs. So that's another piece that kind of makes me emotional is like right when you feel like, what's going on? Breathe, feel yourself, and I promise there is a really big breakthrough coming.
You have been incredible. Honestly, you have been unbelievable. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. These are such important conversations. And like just being vulnerable and funny and strong and all of it, like it allows everyone to do it. And you bring up great conversations, and it like makes such a difference. You're very fun to listen to. Yeah, and we're all gonna have game.
We've all got game.
Let's go. Yeah.